The court's unanimous decision sent a message to the opposition that don't come back here, in effect. You don't have any supporters here. Now, what was needed then was for the President of the United States to say, we have a new day in this country, and that is a decision of the Supreme Court, which means that the way we have been doing business has to end. And we have to desegregate our schools and everything else. And that would have sent another message to the opposition, that the President of the United States wasn't going to stand for any foolishness from them either.
The court said that the enforcement should be done through the federal district courts with all deliberate speed. Now, in the first place, that meant that the executive branch of the government could not go to a board of education and say you must desegregate the schools tomorrow or next month or next September or what. You had to wait for a plan of desegregation to be submitted to the district court, and only when the court issued an order of desegregation could the Justice Department step in and deal with the local situation. So that Eisenhower felt that it was rather unfair for Chief Justice Warren to criticize him in this respect, because the enforcement problem was created by the court itself. And the people in the South felt that all deliberate speed meant mañana, meant when we get around to it. And it encouraged the white citizens' councils and the people who were opposed to desegregation to delay and delay. And they hoped for a repetition of the situation that developed after the Civil War, where delay and delay furthered the cause of segregation.
Eisenhower had long played a leading role in this country. That's how he became president. He was worshipped by all Americans as the man who led this country successfully through World War II. He was a hero. That's how he got to be president. People listened to him. They wanted to know what his views were, so that he was uniquely situated as a president in that respect. That is, he commanded the respect of all Americans, so that if he had taken a firm position at that time, that would have greatly lessened. I don't say there would be no opposition. Of course there would have been, but it would have been greatly lessened. And I think Forbes and other governors who decided to defy the Supreme Court, like Ross Barnett in Mississippi and George Wallace in Alabama, they would not have had the courage or the nerve to defy the Supreme Court.
He did not believe in the bully pulpit approach to the presidency. He thought that Congress had their proper sphere, and the courts had their proper sphere, and the executive had his proper sphere, but that he didn't. I don't think he looked on himself as being the minister in the pulpit who should govern public morals. He encouraged people on the outside to do their duties as private citizens, but it was not. He was not a reformer, really. He was a governor. He was an administrator of the affairs of the country, and where he thought that advocacy would cause bitterness, he would not be an advocate. He believed that in the fact that the Constitution provided that one of its aims of the central government was to protect and promote tranquility on the scene.
I know why people insisted he make a speech about it. We had to go to the Southerners and try to explain to them why the Supreme Court had changed its mind and why they had to accept that decision and why they couldn't continue to resist it. And that was not easy. You had a whole system based on what the court had decided up to that time. So one day it was constitutional, the next day the court said it wasn't constitutional. That was difficult. So his idea was to try to reconcile the two, let the South understand that they had to go along. This was the right decision. We'd supported it. Our brief was accepted by the Supreme Court and followed 9-0. And obviously we made it clear that was our position. And he never understood, and I never understood why it was been so helpful to criticize the South. We did it by action.
Well, I think the president needed to do more because this was a major social issue in the country. It wasn't just a legal issue. A lot of people felt that you couldn't change the hearts of people with a court decision. But I think you could with leadership, proper leadership saying, this is something we must do, and it will involve all of us, and it will not be easy, but it's something that must be done, and it must go forward, as the Supreme Court has said, without unreasonable delay.